ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about Kevin Porter Jr. because I've been seeing a lot more. Essentially, we had some news come out a couple of days ago that there's mutual interest between the Houston Rockets and Kevin Porter Jr. with a contract extension next offseason. For some reason, actually it's not for some reason. It seems to either be an issue with can he be a point guard, or a lot of people have an issue like, I know a couple people have big issues with how he quit on the team, I guess. I've tried to take the stance of more, I don't really know the situation. None of us know the situation, so until facts get finalized, I'm not going to hold it against him. But I can definitely understand why some people would be hesitant or not interested in re-signing Kevin Porter Jr. either because of he's just not their guy he's just not the guy to them, or whether it's the issue with that January incident. But honestly, Kevin didn't really get held to the same standards as Christian Wood, although Christian is no longer on the Rockets. There was a 5-game stretch where Kevin Porter Jr. 5-game stretch where Jalen Green dropped 30 straight points. 5 straight games, 30 bombs. But Kevin Porter Jr. was doing just as good as him. We have his stats right here in that 5-game stretch. 28 points per game, 8.5 assists, 6.6 rebounds, and 62% true shooting. Now, I understand that statistically, Kevin Porter Jr. is a phenomenal catch and shoot 3-point shooter, plus 40% from downtown, and I can understand why he works good off ball. Kevin doesn't need the ball in his hands necessarily. His first half of the season was not ideal. I'll drop the stats right here. Pre-All-Star break, about a little less than 14 points per game, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. Nothing too crazy. He was averaging 3.5 turnovers per game. He wasn't shooting great, only 40% from the field, was shooting 38% from downtown, which is a good sign. He was shooting like 60% from the free throw line, which was just, that is something you never want to see. Well, post-All-Star break, which was when that 5-game stretch where he averaged 28 and 8 that I just mentioned, this is when that was. The Rockets in general were moving, they were gunning, they were just literally nonstop running. They were running a lot of players off the court, and they were able to have some really awesome offensive games. Obviously the defense was never really there, so as far as the complete games and complete wins, the Rockets didn't really have many or any of those. So what we saw was consistency and a lot of explosiveness on the offensive end. And so if we look at Kevin's second half stats, here they go as this: 19 points per game, so he averaged about 5 points more, 5 rebounds, so about a rebound more, 6.1 assists, so same assist numbers. He got his turnovers down to 2.5. Started stealing the ball at a better rate. Got his field goal percentage up to 43.5%. Shot 37% from downtown. Shot 71.2% from the free throw line. So gets his free throw numbers up about 11%. My point being is this: he improved greatly. So I'm not trying to get my hopes up and say I think Kevin Porter Jr. can be our cornerstone point guard, but I'm also not ready to throw in the towel. Some people literally still want this man just literally cut from the roster, and you move on to a cat like Scoot Henderson. I don't really think tanking should be our number one priority. I do think that the Rockets won't be the best team this year. I don't think we'll be anywhere near the play-in tournament, unfortunately, and it's actually for the good thing for the long run. But I think, we just kind of wait and see how things go. That's the standpoint I'm looking at. I'm going to wait and see how Kevin's season goes. I'm going to wait and see how the Houston Rockets season goes. I'm going to see how, Silas does. I'm going to see how Jalen Green does. It's not just Kevin. There's a lot more factors at play, and when we're trying to predict stuff that's over a year away, it can be quite difficult because there's a lot more factors so my phone was like, yeah, you're all set with that. So point being is this: I'm waiting to see how the season goes, not only with Kevin Porter Jr., but the rest of the Houston Rockets and just everything else at play. But I'm curious. The month of August is almost here, so camps are about to be starting in like 2 weeks or so. So I want to hear from you guys before the season gets underway. What are your thoughts on Kevin Porter Jr. and the Houston Rockets long term? Drop it down below. As always, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. See you guys later.